Who was the first American president that was elected to 2 non-consecutive terms? That would be Grover Cleveland, who was in charge during one of the worst recessions in American history. He accepted the Statue of Liberty and granted statehood to 5 new states. However, in contrast, he did sign many laws that harmed the United States' growth and long-term impacted the nation in a negative way. But before we go further, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it would help me out greatly. We're trying to reach 100 subs. And if you already have, thank you, welcome back, thank you for your continued support. Now let's jump into it. In the late 1800s, President Grover Cleveland played an important role in American history. One major event during his time in office was the acceptance of the Statue of Liberty. France gave the statue to the United States as a symbol of friendship and freedom. Cleveland accepted the statue on behalf of the nation in 1886, calling it a sign of hope for immigrants. During his presidency, 5 new states were given statehood. These states were North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Washington, and Idaho. They became states between 1889 and 1890, helping the country grow westward. In Cleveland's second term, Utah was also admitted to the Union. Cleveland believed in expanding the country while keeping the government honest and fair. The new states brought more resources, land, and people to the nation. Both the Statue of Liberty and the new states symbolized growth and opportunity in America. The Panic of 1893 was one of the worst economic recessions in American history at the time. It began when several major railroad companies went bankrupt, causing a chain reaction that led to the collapse of banks and businesses. As people lost confidence in the economy, they rushed to withdraw money from their banks, which made the situation even worse. The stock market crashed, thousands of businesses failed, and millions of Americans lost their jobs. Cleveland, who had just started his second term, had to deal with the crisis. He had the incredible misfortune of being president when this was happening. He believed strongly in the gold standard, which meant that U.S. money was backed by gold rather than silver. At the time, many people wanted to switch to using both silver and gold to help increase the money supply. Cleveland, however, feared that using silver would weaken the economy and reduce trust in the dollar. He called a special session of Congress to repeal the Sherman Silver Purchase Act, which had required the government to buy large amounts of silver. Although the repeal helped stop the drain on gold reserves, it did not fix the recession. Cleveland's decision was unpopular with farmers and working-class people who supported the use of silver. They believed that using silver would ease their debts and improve the economy. As a result, Cleveland lost support from many members of his own Democratic Party. Despite his efforts, the Depression lasted for several more years, and poverty spread across the country. Cleveland's handling of the panic showed his commitment to economic principles, but also revealed the deep divisions in American society over how to solve financial problems. During Cleveland's presidency, or presidencies, several important laws and policies were passed that shaped American history. One of these was the Presidential Succession Act of 1886, which set rules for who would become president if both the president and the vice president died or left office. Cleveland signed this law to make sure that there would always be someone ready to lead the country. It placed cabinet members, starting with the Secretary of State, in line of succession. Another major law during Cleveland's time was the Dawes Act, passed in 1887. Although it was introduced before his term, Cleveland supported the act, which aimed to force indigenous peoples to give up their traditional lands and lifestyles. It gave them and their families small plots of land to farm, but most of the land was later taken by white settlers. This caused deep harm to these communities and led to the loss of millions of acres of tribal land. Cleveland believed this would help indigenous tribes assimilate, but in reality, it broke up tribal cultures and caused long-lasting damage. He also played a role in enforcing the Chinese Exclusion Act, which had been first passed in 1882 before his presidency. Cleveland strongly supported extending and strengthening the law, which banned most Chinese immigrants from coming to the U.S. He believed it was necessary to protect American jobs, but it was based on racism and fear. His actions helped keep the law in place and made life harder for Chinese American immigrants. These policies show that while Cleveland focused on order and stability, many of his decisions hurt minority groups and reflected the prejudices of his time. Cleveland's legacy is not well known to many Americans. It's mostly that he served 2 non-consecutive terms. He did achieve important gains for the country, but also signed numerous laws with long-term negative impacts. Same can be said for his predecessor, Chester Arthur. Click here to learn more.